Eyo Runners, it's your boy OMA, and it's been a pretty crazy 2 weeks being able to play the Marathon Alpha, and with that coming to an end today, I thought it would be the perfect time to share 5 things that I have genuinely loved about Marathon in its current state. Number 1 really is something quite small, but when you're looting containers, big items like say a weapon or a backpack or anything that's bigger than just a small little square, actually appears as multiple little squares, and it doesn't reveal itself or even the shape of the stack until it is revealed itself. And it's a tiny little thing, but I kind of like it just because you can't look into a container and before anything's revealed just know straight away, hey, there's something big in there, I'm gonna come back for that. Like, you have to sit there and wait or just not find out. And as much as that is a small thing, it's just something I like. It helps the mystery stay alive, and like if you are looting and you get interrupted halfway, it leaves that little bit of mystery of like, I've got to go back and check the rest of that. Number 2, again, is something pretty small, but high tier items are shared between the entire team. So purple items like these, if I was to extract with them, my teammates obviously don't have them, I was the one that picked them up and got them out, it doesn't really matter because our entire team will get one each. So no matter who extracts the rare items, I think it applies to purple and gold materials, everyone will get one of that item. And I think that's a great feature because it means that we don't have to compete with each other for these high tier materials. Obviously for loot and stuff, that's a different story, but at least for these materials that could be crucial to progression and upgrade, we're not competing with our own teammates over them, we're only competing with other teams over them. Number 3 is the vintage item system, and I have really liked this. I think it's such a cool concept. So any item with that vintage text behind its item icon is actually more valuable the more you extract with it. So if you equip these items, and they can be weapons, they can be shields, it can be backpacks, quite a lot of your equipables can be vintage. The more you take it in and extract with it, the more valuable it gets. And I have kept these 2 shields in my stash the entire alpha just so I could take the screenshot. I don't know why I didn't just take the screenshot earlier, and I could have used them because I really needed them sometimes. These Volt Resistance V2 shields are exactly the same, except for one of them is vintage, and me and its previous owner extracted it quite a few times. And as you can see, the original non-vintage one is the base value, it's $900, but my vintage one is worth over 4K. And that to me is a great example of like just how valuable these things can get. I had some green shields as well, and I think the value is capped to a certain amount because I had quite a few green items that were vintage and they didn't seem to be going past the $500 mark, and then the blue ones kind of were blowing past that. But the green ones, considering that a base value of a green shield was about $100 to sell, I was getting them up to about $500 in vintage and then being able to sell them, but really all that did was meant that it covered me purchasing the exact same shield back that wasn't vintage. But either way, it's still cool to see that these items can just like double in value. It's just an extra like incentive, and it kind of makes you switch stuff out. Like I will switch items out for vintage ones because I know that they're gonna climb in value. And I guess it just adds a little bit more gear fear because if you've got a vintage shield that's really good or a vintage backpack or something that you've been working on for a while and it's now worth a few thousand, it's gonna sting a little bit more losing it. Number 4 is the dynamic in-game events, which have been like the UNSC Incursion, which so far has been the best source of like high tier loot like gold items and room keys, even though I have very rarely been able to participate in one and get away from it. Also the high value targets, which I don't think I've actually completed a single one yet because I haven't had no friends in the alpha, which means I've played only with randoms, and most of the time we start them and then we end up splitting off because my teammates are running away or they just don't want to deal with it, or we're just not well equipped enough for it. And then finally the intercepts, which I've done so many and I love them to pieces. Intercepts start in one location and can be a couple of locations. It could all end in one, it could all be spread across 2, but the fact that you start in one location, start with what you have to scan the right terminal and then go and find the other matching terminal, and that could then say, hey, now you need to go to station, which is across the map, and you go there, do the same thing. You're gonna find a terminal, find another matching terminal, scan that, battle waves of bots along the way, and then this ship will come down and give you the chance to shoot at the container underneath, make it drop, and there's your loot. Now, there could be really good loot in there, and there's generally like okay loot, but I have not once been able to get to that container first to see what's actually in it. I've always had teammates get to it first and start picking stuff out, so there possibly could be keys and gold stuff in there. I just don't know about it. And number 5, one of the things I like most about Marathon in its current state is how weapon rarity works. So weapon rarity isn't determined by like a weapon itself being rare, it's completely determined by the attachments on the weapon and the quality of those attachments. And this reminds me of Dead Drop in a very small way, but Dead Drop didn't really have any way of indicating in match what a weapon had on it, apart from if you picked it up and like you used it. But there used to be a bar underneath the weapon that would just show you how many attachments the weapon had on it. So if the bar was full, you knew it had maximum amount of attachments. Now, whether those were good attachments or not, it didn't indicate. Marathon has a similar thing. A weapon will become green when it's got 2 or more green attachments on it, but say you've got 2 green attachments and 2 purple attachments, it will actually average out to blue. So looking at a weapon and seeing, hey, that's green, that means the maximum it can have is 4 green on it, but it could also just have 2. You could then look at a blue weapon and that could be half purple, half green, and it's just averaged out. But it's just a very quick look that tells you, hey, this is something worth picking up. If it's grey, it's just basic, and it might have 1 attachment on it, but it is basic. If you've got the choice between a grey and a green, the green is generally going to be better, it's going to be more well equipped. Blue is going to be even better than that, and purple is going to be even better than that. But it's just a system that I love because it just lets you have a quick snapshot and just go, hey, that's better than this, and just prioritize things very quickly without having to look at the little squares and decide, hey, which one's better. Obviously, if you get things that are equal, then you can start looking at the little squares, because in the corner it does actually have the squares telling you which attachment slots are filled, so you can make a decision that way. But if you're in the heat at the moment and you just quickly need to pick a weapon or pick something, the whole color system is a very easy way to prioritize what you want to pick up, and I really like the way that they've done it, how it can even just average rather than it has to be either purple or it has to be green attachments to make it this color. Like, it can average, and that is really, really cool. So those were my 5 favorite things about Marathon as it currently stands. There are other things I like, but these were just 5 things that really stood out to me. And if you have been playing or you've been watching and there's things that you really like, let me know down in the comments. And if you've enjoyed the video, please consider subscribing, because we are going to be covering Marathon as much as I can, even though I'm terrible at consistency. But stick around, we're going to be covering Marathon, potentially some other games, but I want to focus on Marathon, and I hope you guys enjoyed the video. See you guys in the next one. Bye-bye.